What is up, guys? It's your boy GRC. We're coming at you live every single day, 11 a.m. Eastern. No excuses, no jokes, always smiling. I was excited like a little schoolgirl about this episode today because all the big heads are coming out and giving their statements. They're saying their piece, baby. And me and Sam love when the big heads come out and start saying their piece. A little freedom fighting comes into it a little bit. Because what do we have here, guys? This is a crypto show. This is Crypto in the Morning. We're live every day at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're talking about FTX. We're going to be talking a lot about integrity today and human failure, because that's really what centralized exchange is. It's like unregulated children with money. And legacy is regulated children with money. So it's just, but there's way too much volatility here for me to just let this slide by while a lot of my friends get convinced to keep buying whatever forever instead of just doing it at a proper time and really just being clinical about the way we move through things. Anyway, we got Charles Hoskinson. We got all the ETH bros. We have so many little 10-minute, 15-minute bangers to cover today. We have CZ tweets. We're going to be looking at Dex Screener. FTT, rug. FTX, rug. CZ, I looked at the books, not looking good. He already published that kind of sentiment. It's not looking good for crypto. It's looking good for the average investor that has USD on the sideline. Sam, the average investor with USD on the sideline right now, you're golden. You're locked in. All you need to do is understand now. If you don't, you might. So Crypto in the Morning live every single day, guys. I tweeted this out. I posted it right here into private. Of course, it disappeared on me, but I'll post it while the song's going on, guys. Crypto in the Morning. I need you locked in. Locked in. It's going to get a little heady today. So please stay locked in. Be safe. If you think something's the best buy in the world right now, you're putting all your money into it, I would probably just chill. Maybe call your dad. But I don't just chill. Relax. If you're a new user, relax. DeFi proof. Don't relax. Hit that song up.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. GymRatCrypto sent me to show you the way. Crypto in the morning, 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 crypto in the morning.
Oh man, I was excited about this show too. We're about.
Dude, I should start it early. I was literally about to start it early because I'm that big of a freak. Like I'm just like, but I was like, don't do that. It's the dumbest thing ever.
We're about to get into this. This could be that time where the market we have the bottoming out. We have a complete and utter capitulation and just tanking everything because. We're going to get into some of the details, but briefly to start.
We'll get into all the details soon. Just keep going.
When you consider that, say hypothetically, you have somebody, say like a public figure, maybe say someone who's popular in a certain space. Say, for example, say like Elon created a metaverse piece of real estate, and then each piece of real estate sold, and then he used that real estate to take loans against that real estate. And use those to give to his hedge fund, right? And then the hedge fund took loans on that made up shit.
It should be piecing together for people after Terra Luna. Like I know a lot of the guys that don't know like all the financial stuff like me kind of learned a lot from Terra Luna on that one. Like that's where I kind of learned. I was like, oh, it doesn't really matter what the words are. It's like they have a coin over here. Nobody really wants it. They pretend everyone wants it. And then some people buy it, but really no one wants it. No one buys it. And then they provide collateral to other people with that token, not their bread and butter token, of course, as much.
Do you remember the Three Arrows Capital?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so from this is what kind of like was the pin that popped the Terra Luna balloon. It was just bound to happen at some point. But
it's just a liar behind the scenes.
Three Arrows was a hedge fund that had around estimate $3 to $4 billion worth of crypto assets. Alameda, which is Sam Bankman-Fried's hedge fund, has estimates of around $14 billion.
This is the biggest black swan event that's ever happened.
And you saw, right? It was like BitMax and Voyager and Voldel and this exchange and this exchange and this central site. All of them went belly up because of this tiny little hedge fund. This is 4 times the size of Three Arrows Capital. And we have no idea how much.
We don't know how scummy this dude is, like how heavy. Like, yes, you can lose $14 billion, but you can also lie to many people pretending like you have more than $14 billion. And then it gets like, duh, everything's just like double collateraled everywhere. And then you just end up getting doinked because you're just like, dude, this is, or, you know, that's stress. Like, that's real deal. Your human manipulation at its worst comes out in crypto centralized exchange formats. It doesn't mean everyone that does that is bad. Some of the people, frankly, probably aren't that stressed out about it. But some of these guys that can wiggle in there that wouldn't have had an opportunity to. This mother effer, I don't care what you say, without crypto, he's nothing. He's a dork. And I'm not saying he wouldn't be like good at a job or something. I'm just saying like,
we have like 80% drop in FTT. So if you look at how leverage works, right? $14 billion. And if they had even say $7 billion of leveraged against that, and then you have the largest position in their portfolio tanks by 80%, FTT, which is just made up by their sister company, FTX. Oh man, FTX is in trouble, and their hedge fund, which it's private, so we don't get to any of this information. Their hedge fund is effed. Like, that's going to cause an unwinding in crypto that is going to be massive.
I feel like crypto's already, as far as people moving through the liquidity pools and centralized exchanges, has already unwinded. Like, I feel like this is all regurgitated centralized exchange money at this point. But people need called out and gone, liquidated, buy, gone, nuked, never see you again, never get involved again. You're out. I'm not saying that they can't have money in there. I'm saying that you're out. When they say some people get out, it's not always because that's what they want. And some guys, when they make a lot of money in a bull run, really start to think they are the smartest human being that has ever stepped foot in a room before. And it's so naive. It's so naive to think that. It's one of the most disturbingly naive things. Like, I can't even be friends with a person like that, because it's like, dude, yes, there's timing involved. Yes, you got lucky in some sense. Let's talk about it. Let's get through this, because you'll lose everything. You know, you will lose everything. And these guys really do wreck themselves to zero and beyond. And if they're square burgers, like Elon Musk, like maybe one day he was a square, but he ain't no square no more. He's no square. Nothing square about the guy. Because he moved forward. Like, he wasn't like, I'm just a dork loser. Blah, 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 F me, I'm the biggest dork in the room. I'm sure he felt that at some time in his life. Like every person would. But anyway, let's play this. This is the end ramp for a long string. And the guy goes solo. So he had a panel before. He goes solo. And I felt my boy here. I feel like he's hurt. Okay. But these guys are like Bitcoin guys. So like, let's see what he has to say at his little end rant. He kind of like all his buddies leave the show. And, you know, he looks tired. Let's just say that. He looks real tired.
Trying to bring you the best. Yago is an absolute legend, man. We recorded in person with him. All of these guys, except for Dunleavy, actually, Dave and Yago, in Vegas, and have that content coming. Obviously, a lot of things that we've recorded over the past few weeks and months, a little less relevant than they are today with this massive black swan happening. All I can say, guys, is be exceptionally careful out there. It's a scary environment. And for me, I'm just kind of waiting on the sidelines. Of course, everyone knows there's a personal aspect of this to me because I've been extremely transparent about my situation with Voyager. Well, who was supposed to be giving Voyager a lifeline? And our assets were largely dependent on the market going up and not going down. So not only did
I want to highlight that point right there. I need you to highlight it for me. This is for me. You know how you said like everyone was long. Oh, why were all these guys long? Every one of them.
But do you know what he means by he has his money tied up in Voyager? Do you know what that context is there?
Basically, it sounds like whatever company this guy works with or team or his personal whatever, he's a Bitcoin guy. So he probably keeps a lot of his Bitcoin over there. And recently, it sounds like he made that public. But guess who has all the liquidity for Voyager? Oh, wait, they just got liquidated.
But here's the crazy part. You know who bought Voyager?
Who?
Take a wild guess. No?
Or no, SBF. Yeah,
yes. Yeah. Voyager was bought by SBF, and now SBF doesn't have any liquidity.
Yeah, so this dude is looking straight down the pipe of perma-wrecked.
This guy's like, oh man, he's like, I put my money into the toilet in terms of Voyager, and then he takes a step back and he realizes that he's actually in like a porta potty that's about to fall off of a cliff, which is FTX.
Yeah, but Sam, you don't understand one context about this video. You don't understand is he just found out that CZ wasn't buying FTX like 73 seconds before this.
Well, we have to cover that when this is done because I haven't seen.
No, I will. The reason, Sam, this is so closely live to our show that it's hard to like. Literally, this is like going on right now. So, but just understand, like. They did this whole panel with all their buddies, and we'll look more in these guys. They're extremely smart. I mean, I watched every second of this video, rewinded about 10 times. Oh my God. So good. But cutting to the chase with it, they're talking, all these guys think CZ is about to scoop FTX, and they're like feeling at least some sort of relief by the fact that might still happen. And then look, he pulls up the article, he finds it. Oh, he just finds it on the internet. Like it just pops up. So let's look at this live and let's see his eyes. Look at his body language. See if he gets any like little like jitters because with a lot of money that'll happen.
Yeah. Yes.
I get a little scared on some occasions.
Yes, it will. You're right.
You're like, oh Jesus.
This playing.
All right. Your mic is buzzing. Hard.
It's not playing. Well, we can pull up this article. Well, GRC adjusts. So I guess there is maybe some news where CZ may not be purchasing because he did say an LOI. They submitted an LOI. So if you're not familiar with this, an LOI is a letter of intent. So it's used in real estate often to buy property. And that does not lock you into a deal. That just says, hey, it's like GRC. Hey, GRC, I would like to purchase your property for this amount, blah, 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 based on some of these things. But it's contingent upon me doing due diligence, right? Because I assume that the property is in good condition and this, that, and the other thing. And then I look into it and the property, in this case, FTX, has loads of leverage and has all sorts of issues related to transparency and all sorts of issues related to like somebody like SBF running it, which you can think of all the issues that he might have associated with that. What was the name of that article? I'm going to try to actually find it here.
I have it right here. It's called Binance is strongly leaning towards scraping FTX. I have a couple articles and a couple Twitter feeds that we can bring up, but Charles gives you the whole rundown like in a very poetic way. So we can kind of get like, he gives it to his audience straight because they all watch him for this kind of stuff. So, and he's disgusted, frankly. And you know, I have a little more respect for him every day that goes by with what he's built. Whether or not it's good or not, that's not really the point. But the point is it's separate. It's different. He's trying. You have to do new innovations, try new things. And then he puts his suit on like a little dork and comes on here like he's getting an A+ on a test when he probably has billions of dollars. Like, and I just like his vibe. I think he should represent the United States or whoever in however they do that with cryptocurrency in the future. So Sam, I want you to tell me to stop this because but this is big. Like, he doesn't just come on here and talk about this stuff lightly. This is his perspective. And Sam, I'm starting to get worried about a lot of the ERC20s that are more into people are starting to talk about derivatives now, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I got a lot of those.
Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live late at night from Toronto, Ontario. I'm here in town for the BRI's annual summit. I was invited to speak, and I'll be speaking tomorrow. But as many of you notice, that there's a lot of stuff going on right now in the markets, and everything's kind of in a unique place. And so I figured I'd make a video before I went to bed, even though it's quite late here. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. It's about 12:30 of what we know, what's going on. So FTX is a major financial player, and they do a little bit of everything, a little bit of the money transmission stuff, a little bit of the market making stuff, a little bit of the trading stuff. And they were led by Sam Brinkman-Fried. And SBF, as we all call him in the industry, was recently going on a tycoon surge. Throughout this year, he made or attempted to make many high-profile acquisitions, like the Voyager acquisition, for example. Now, Sam, on paper, apparently was worth quite a bit of money. He was a decabillionaire, so technically had assets.
Guys, we're going straight to CZ's Twitter after this video. So right after the video, we're going straight to CZ's Twitter, and then me and Sam will go from there because I know there's updates, and I know you guys want to help me bring them up, but there's a lot. So just let's listen to this. This is important.
Over $10 billion. And the books of his organizations cumulatively were over that much as well. It looks like what's occurred is that FTX was, through a series of transitive relationships, closer to what occurred with Luna than people let on. So Luna, as many of you know, when it collapsed, created a cascading series of failures for things like Three Arrows Capital and others, and it's created an enormous amount of instability in the market that the market is still attempting to digest. There's an asset called Alameda that had a relationship with FTX, and that asset apparently got a bit too much value, and it's created a liquidity problem for Sam's empire. And it may be the case that, and more will be discovered soon, that he's insolvent and as a result requires a bailout or acquisition, basically a shotgun wedding to continue operations. And if it doesn't get that bailout, that there's a good possibility that his FTX will go out of business. It'll get liquidated. Much in these things tends to get discovered. So Binance has made an offer. They've signed a non-binding letter of intent based upon due diligence. And as due diligence is done, oftentimes things are discovered and uncomfortable things. Especially the relationship, financially speaking, of the founders to the entities, as well as how funds were used and how much risk exists within the entities. There is a non-zero probability that the acquisition proposal that Binance has put on the table to bail out FTX, to acquire it, will not succeed because it.
So we're going to stop there for a second because he just said the one-liner that kind of goes in. And I'm going to go back to that because let's be honest, I could listen to that 24 hours a day. He's the best with the talking and just getting the points out and being respectful and saying his points stern.
I think he's doing a good job here, and I'm curious to see where he goes in the rest of that video.
And I just want to show the title because this is kind of what's like buzzing crazy around the internet right now. It's like this picture. And I wish the thumbnail had this picture next to our two heads. That would be like really sick. This one. Like, what if it was us two and that in the thumbnail? I'd love that. Binance is strongly, and this was today, guys, November 9th, 2022, 10:32 a.m. Eastern. Updated, 10:38 Eastern. Wonder what they squeezed in there. This is my boy, SBF. They're showing decent shots of him. You know, he looks real bad compared to this, like real bad. And he don't even look great here. And then CZ's looking like a nuclear warhead right now. Cryptocurrency exchange giant Binance is highly unlikely to go through with the proposed acquisition of struggling rival FTX after less than a day of reviewing the company, according to a person familiar with the matter. What does that mean? A person familiar with the matter. Binance's non-binding letter of intent for the takeover announced Tuesday as FTX's financial position appeared to be spiraling out of control, hinged on Binance performing due diligence. Roughly half a day into the process of reviewing FTX internal data and loan commitments, they were probably like, oh my God, has led Binance to strongly lean against completing the transaction, the person said. Binance declined to comment on the current status of the deal. FTX couldn't immediately be reached for a comment. Who would have thought? So there's that. So I'll drop the link for that, guys, and you can check that out if you want.
You'll pull up the video. I'll drop the link that into the chat there, and that way you can pull the video back up. We can jump into that because this is happening in real time, guys. Whoops, I just put it into the private.
Yeah, and Charles is a man that you should be listening to if he's speaking, or if you want to do something else, go watch something else. But don't be talking shit about my boy because I'll block your ass. Seriously, I've always liked Charles because I like respect and I like honor and I like integrity. And I think that he might have those things, but I might be golly wrong about that.
If you see this, like through the due diligence period, is basically a team of think of like forensic, like investigators, right? That's what you do when you do a deal like this. And you have a team of forensic investigators that says, hey, SBF and CZ agreed to XYZ terms. Now we're going to take a look at the details and see if what they say is an accurate representation of what SBF and CZ have talked about. Guarantee it's not.
We'll give our predictions because that's a little bit of a layup at this point. They're going to find that there is no money there. So when everyone's, and I'm not saying there's no money at all, but when everyone's asking, why doesn't RH buy FTX? Why doesn't this guy buy it? Nobody wants to buy something that has no users and that everyone thinks is horrible now. I'm not saying like 5 weeks ago they didn't have users. But as of this moment, everyone can't send their money out, and 90% of those people will never use the the platform again. So this is critical that you understand that buying this, unless you're getting it for $1 on the billion, you ain't buying it. So CZ is probably like, nah, dude, this don't add up at all. This is a net negative for me. Let's wash out. Say, remember, it's like, when you get, I don't know much about cancer treatment really, but I know when you get cancer, you have to get chemotherapy sometimes, and they nuke all your cells because it's easier than finding them individually. And in this case, it's just like sometimes it's better, and I'm sure you see this in Legacy, to just cut a bad actor out and let it ride. So what do you think about that?
Well, so I think that what will end up happening with this is the due diligence will find a lot of things that were not disclosed that increases the risk of the purchase. And there will be negotiations again behind closed doors, meaning we won't be privy to this stuff. This extra risk that is going to be now transparent to Binance is going to not necessarily call the deal off, but the terms of the deal will change. Because if you understand CZ is trying to grow decentralization, trying to grow the crypto spaces in general. And
At least now he is. He's going at it.
Old content looks like he had the same ethos before.
Well, but nobody believed him before. No one believed him, and now I believe him. I believe him now. He's impressed me with his vigor.
Yeah.
I like so many leaders now don't have anything. Like they won't take a punch. They won't give a punch. SBF was willing to never give a punch until they ran out of everything because they just
Like
little.
more than likely, the terms will just get negotiated. So if I'm like, hey, GRC, I'll buy your house for 400,000, and we agree to that, and I send them an LOI, right, a letter of intent to do so, based upon after my due diligence. Then I inspect this property. I realize that all the windows are fucked up. The HVAC is like ancient as shit. The roof is messed up, and the foundation.
You're right about all those things.
Right. So then I'd be like, hey, bro, I said 400, but you have this, this, and this, and this. I will give you $200.
And it backs me against the wall, and I'm like, I need to sell. I need to sell. I need to sell.
That's probably going to be what happens with this deal.
Yeah, but it sounds like he was like it almost seemed like Binance was willing to put on liquidity for their users if it was worth like saving users. But it like turns out like it might not even be worth saving anyone because there really wasn't as many people there as maybe they thought in their head. Like real people. They're like, oh, there's a lot of regurgitated like leverage on a FTT token. That's for sure. But let's
I would definitely dump FTT. I never would have owned FTT.
You dump it? Like, is it cool to dump right now? Like, is the slippage chill? Like, we'll look at that after. We'll look at all that after.
Yeah, go ahead and play the video. I'll look it up.
And how much risk exists within the entities. There is a non-zero probability that the acquisition proposal that Binance has put on the table to bail out FTX, to acquire it, will not succeed because it will fail due diligence. This is often the case in many distressed assets. When people look at them, they discover that they're far more distressed than they thought. If that's the case, because of the size and scale of FTX, it's very likely that that will cascade through the cryptocurrency market. Now, my firm, we had no involvement, exposure, or connection to any of these things, so we didn't lose any money. Cardano doesn't have any dApps or DeFi that really touched anything related to the Luna ecosystem or the yield products that were very popular but highly unstable in the Ethereum ecosystem. So effectively speaking, this does not directly impact the Cardano ecosystem. But as members of the broader cryptocurrency space, this will likely cause issues for all of us. In particular, there is the case that FTX has been lobbying very heavily in Washington, D.C. Their failure could change the political landscape in unpredictable ways. It was my belief that a red wave would occur today, and early indications of the election are that that is the case, with just to the magnitude of it. And based upon that magnitude, it was my belief that legislation would pass that would be inspired from things like the Stab Now proposal from the U.S. Senate, things like the Financial Innovation Act, and so forth. The issues here are that should we see more systemic failures, there could be a belief for more regulatory scrutiny or more draconian laws to be passed to enable that scrutiny. The failure of FTX could result in that, which could in turn more badly damage the industry, and in many cases offshore the American cryptocurrency industry. So this is not a minor event. This could become a very significant event, and it's the last in a series of failures that we saw started by Luna. Luna led to Celsius and other such things, and now we're here. It's just an example of the excesses that I repeatedly warned people about in 2021 and all throughout this year, and prior points in my career, like in 2017 with ICO mania. You don't get something for nothing, and extremely high yields tend to evaporate very quickly. And this is no different from that. Just because the asset classes change and because we use new and emerging technology, in no way, shape, or form somehow indemnifies us from the risk that this new technology has. And yet, for some reason, financial engineers, entrepreneurs, and startups seem to think that this time will be different. There is no substitute for hard work, there is no substitute for discipline and every month building and creating utility and getting real adoption.
Dude, are you kidding me? This dude, he's my guy.
There's no substitute for actually doing the right thing.
Wow, dude, but like, why not just say that? Everyone say it. Like some of these guys that are super popular, they don't even know that to be true. They really don't. Like, I've been maybe somewhere in SBF's mind, he's like, man, I got so rich on Bitcoin. It's just pretty just like lame, like too easy. Like, I don't care anymore. Lose like lackluster. You don't want to do that at the stuff every month. And he's so right. And I'm learning that as I get better at this. It's like, it really is about use case. Whatever that means to you, you need a user to get on their computer and actually interact with what you're doing. And it has to be legit, and it has to be long-term, and it has to be scalable, and it has to be right. And it has to be progressible because things will build on top. And I'm buildable, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's just like, I'm going to replay that little spot right there. But my God, Charles, you're amping me up, brother.
So true. Like you see this happen in business, right? In the 1999 IPO but it's in a different realm, but you have this hype around this because you can create these things and you can get rich and like rip off a bunch of people very quickly where I can launch an IPO, gather all this money, and then just, oh, my company doesn't exist anymore, but it can exit a lot of that liquidity out of the system and just pay for myself and my friends. This kind of thing happens in crypto, especially because it's not regulated. You're going to see a higher frequency of this stuff. All right, let's get into that video.
Look at this. We're just saying, Sam, I found evidence that FTX might have provided a massive bailout for Alameda in Q2, which now came back to haunt them. 40 days ago, 173 million FTT tokens were worth over 4 billion USD became active on chain. A rabbit hole appeared. Okay. And then look.
Okay, part two.
Okay, September 28th, over 8.1 billion USD worth of FTT was moved on chain. That was by far the largest daily move of FTT in the token's existence and one of the largest ERT20 daily moves we've ever recorded at Coinmetrics. So he was playing this shit, man. That's the biggest one ever. I went through all transfers that happened that day in CM Atlas and ranked them. I found peculiar transactions that interacted with a contract from the FTT ICO. This 2019 contract automatically released 173 million FTTs from the token's ICO. It's got the Etherscan there, and I'll drop the link for this in the chat. The receipt of the 4.19 bill USD worth of FTT tokens was not one, but Alameda Research. So what? Alameda and FTX were intrinsically connected from day one, and Alameda obviously participated in FTX ICO. But what happened next was interesting. Alameda that then was sent an entire balance to address the deployer creator in FTT ERC20, which is controlled by someone at FTX. In other words, Alameda auto-vested $4.19 billion worth of FTT to send.
Let's understand that, to keep it here let's understand 5 a little bit more. Number 5 here. Alameda then sent the entire balance to address of the deployer creator of the FTT ERC20, which is controlled by someone at FTX. So what happens here from this gentleman, it sounds like he works at an analytical company or something related to this, is the token that I created that I had control over, I sent to GRC, who's running a hedge fund, right? Then GRC takes that money and you send it to the deployer address. You send it back to the address that I had. This is
like PayPal credit. It's like you can send PayPal credit to your bank, but it becomes cash. But if everyone did that at the same time, like I'm sure there's a limit, but like if everyone did it at the same, I'd done that before. I think I'd done that with like $1,000 before or something. No issue. You just send your PayPal credit directly to your bank account, or just send it to your brother and he'll just send it back to you.
This is some sketchy shit.
So it's just like that, but it's huge scale, and he's the one creating it, and he pinned it up and timed it just as methodically as he possibly could have, and that is disgusting. And he might go to federal prison.
Can you share that tweet in the private, and I'm gonna look at that?
Yeah, I think it was the last one I shared.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'll share that down here to you guys. And actually, real quick, before we let Charles continue, oh, I hope I'm not sharing my, okay, good. Before we let Charles continue, I did a tweet for this morning. Actually, Bullish switched the thumbnail to the exact one that I wanted, which was critical and critically amazing. But I need you guys to go in here and tweet. And we have a giveaway tweet too, but if you don't know about it, I'll tell you at the end. It's a giveaway tweet. I got to dig through my Twitter to get back to it, but that's for the new channel. We got to get to 1,000 subs. Once we get to 1,000 subs, we will immediately be doing a random draw of everyone who retweeted that, and then we will announce the winner. So and I will post that at the end, and we can look at it. But make sure you're paying attention, guys. We're going to get into the end of this video and talk about it, and then we're going to go into CZ's tweets and a couple other things before we go. I might stay a little longer. Sam might have to jump off. Let's continue, guys. Smash that like button, hit the bell. Make sure you're subscribed to the CITM channel. Go to citmcast.com.
Best that this new technology has. And yet, for some reason, financial engineers, entrepreneurs, and startups seem to think that this time will be different. There is no substitute for hard work. There is no substitute for discipline and every month building and creating utility and getting real adoption. The tech stocks are another example of this. Majority of tech stocks in the United States and abroad are significantly down. In some cases, many are over 90% down, which is quite sad, given that they had enormous valuations just a few months ago in some cases. And so the crypto industry is just a microcosm of a macro trend that we've seen over the last few years of rampant asset inflation. So it's hard to know what's going to happen next. If the Binance acquisition goes through, there is a possibility that the markets could stabilize and that things will look good, or at least calm, and we can move on and continue to heal as we were doing before this event. If the acquisition fails, there is a possibility that a series of cascading failures will occur. And because of a lack of transparency, it is very difficult to know how deep these tentacles go. And it's entirely possible that other firms that were reliant upon FTX could also fail, similar to a 2008 financial crisis style event after the fail of Lehman Brothers and the threat of the failure of AIG. So I just wanted to make a video to kind of fill you guys in with what I know, which is currently not much. I'm hearing tons of different rumors and speculations and so forth, but unfortunately we're too far removed from this. But I figured I'd make a video on current affairs and just let you know that things are definitely coming, things are definitely happening, and this is going to be a very transformational week, or at least next 10 days for the cryptocurrency industry. And it's another indication that we need to do things a little differently, and we need to think about things a little differently, both as participants
Dude. Can you hear me?
Oh, you couldn't? I was just talking and nobody could hear me. Fantastic. Lucas,
I don't know why that lagged. I think one of my cords might have wiggled loose or something. So just,
but anyway, Sam, talk for a second.
I want to pull that tweet thread back up here because
I can't hear you again.
Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me? No?
Can you hear me, Sam?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Can anybody hear me in the chat?
That's weird. Sometimes your mic will get unplugged and then it'll switch over.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you now.
Cannot?
Dude, it happened to me earlier too. Maybe they update something. Just leave, come back real quick. Because I was telling you, I was trying to talk to Bullish and they can hear you now. Yeah, see, it's within the StreamYard, I'm telling you. It could even be on my end, but that's been happening a little bit today. Sorry. That happened. I couldn't at all. But then I could hear you 5 seconds before, and it happened to me right earlier. That's the only reason I knew.
Okay, so let's. I want to. You can pull up that video again, but I want to go finish going through this thread from Lucas because
Please do. I would like if you went through it just so I could sit back because you probably know exactly what the hell they're talking about.
this is fascinating. Highly recommend you guys go check.
So
this.
highlight a couple of the points in the first 4, and then we'll go back to 5 and kind of start from there. So this, because I just read through it real kind of quick.
So if you guys remember let's read through this. I found evidence that FTX might have provided a massive bailout for Alameda in Q2, which now came back to haunt them. 40 days ago, for 173 million FTT tokens worth 4 billion USD came active on chain. A rabbit hole appeared. Okay, so think about this. When did Three Arrows Capital collapse? 3 months ago, maybe-ish, I think, roughly. Well, who do you want to bet was involved in leverage that was also caught up in that? Those people are all very closely related. So Three Arrows Capital sets this domino chain of deleveraging in the space. I guarantee Alameda had a boatload of leverage. They were caught up in there. So they are going to crash and burn, right? The hedge fund that is SBF is going to crash and burn because of what happened with Three Arrows Capital. So in order to protect his own hedge fund,
money, guys. Remember, this is 4 to 5 times more revenue. At least that's what they list.
So what do you do if you have your own asset, right, in terms of a hedge fund that's spitting off cash, and then you have another asset that uses other people's capital? Well, both are using other people's capital, right? But one is a lot of retail people where you can take this to leverage over here because you fucked up over here. That's effectively what they're doing.
And they're not only doing it, they're doing it because they effed up, and then they effed up it twice.
Yes.
That's so bad, dude. Like, that's so bad. Like, can you not just have like $5 billion this year and just like go back to the drawing board instead of being like an asshole and just neurotically trying to like, and this is with the Republican and Democrat election and stuff. Like, this just shows a lot about like what some sides really do stand for. They stand for no transparency. And I'm not going to say like what the specifics are, but one side is zero transparency and lies. The other side is lies and a little more transparency.
Yeah,
like a little more, but like for a little bit. I'll take it.
Strong people are not trying to censor other people. Just because I don't agree with anything that you have to say, potentially, I'm not going to say I need to censor you or change the rules so what you're doing is illegal. That's something the left does, right? The weak people, very weak people, and that could be left or right, weak people will try to censor other people because they don't have merit in their beliefs.
And they don't want to hear, and it hurts them.
Correct. Because if you actually have a conversation, it's obvious there's no merit to what's going on up here.
Right.
And that's
why
why
you get into trouble. You just try not to talk to people like that rather than talking to them a whole bunch, because I trust me.
What Gwei is.
Yes, I know, Sam. I just pulled that up, guys. That's pretty insane. I've seen this before, and I'm telling you guys, I'll give you. I don't want to talk about what I'm doing in particular, but just know if Zen USDC and if Hedron go to zero, I'm friggin' wrecked. And if they go up 100x, I'm freaking rich as crap. But again, I'm when I say freaking wrecked, just like on that bag in particular, obviously very small USD valuations, like as far as what I purchased, but that's like the majority of what I'm holding outside of USDC at the moment.
This is going to be a massive unwinding, not financial advice at all. But one thing that I think could potentially be how this plays out is a massive sell-off. We've already seen a massive sell-off.
Can you go to CZ real quick and make sure he's not dropping something? Because this is 17 hours ago, and like it is an amazing thread.
Yes.
You make sure you're saying, like, when you find those guys, you put your noties on. They do those threads like every morning.
Okay, so do you want to go? This was from 2 hours ago.
All right, so this is the one that everyone was kind of like locked in on. So let me zoom this in on my end a little too. Okay, so let me read this. CZ, Binance, love him or hate him, put a bicep in the chat for him. In the spirit of transparency, might as well share the actual note sent to all Binance team
globally a few hours ago. Maybe not the Binance US team. Financians, given the events that transpired over the last couple of days, I want to reiterate a few points. One, we did not master plan this or anything related to it. It was less than 24 hours ago that SBF called me. And before that, I had very little knowledge of the internal state of the FTX. He's such a little weasel, this SBF. I could be the same mental calculation with our revenue to guess theirs, but it would never be very accurate. I was surprised when he wanted to talk. I would have been too. My first reaction was he wants to do an OTC deal, but here we are. Two, as the due diligence for the deal is ongoing, I want to remind everyone, do not trade FTT tokens. If you have a bag, you have a bag. Do not buy or sell. As soon as I finished the call with SBF yesterday, I asked our team to stop selling as an organization. Yes, we have a bag, but that's okay. More importantly, we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard than even in banks. They're basically saying we have enough money to just chill, just take it easy. We don't have to ruin our revenue.
But he knows they're going to take a massive jump. Remember, 24 hours ago, they had $2.1 billion worth of FTT. That has been cut by over 75%, and it is very likely to go to zero. It is very likely to go to zero as this plays out.
It might not go to zero because literally the token launched at like a high price. So like literally there's like a big gap between like the floor and like liquidity. Like there's like there's gonna be nothing there like now. Like under $3, it's like, okay, like what do you want to make? Like $400 like max? A lot of those guys had a lot of money. Like $400 doesn't really feel so hot when you put in a couple milli or whatever, like, or whatever, the numbers. 3, obviously do not comment on the deal publicly or internally. If you are not directly involved, don't ask. We have got a good team handling it. I believe in that they have a good team handling it too. And things will play out. 4, FTX going down is not good for anyone in the industry. This is critical, guys. FTX going down is not good for anyone in the industry. I kind of caught a beat on this early. I was like, this is not good for anyone. Everyone's money's in there. $100,000 a transaction. That's probably where all my bros that are rich have some of their funds. I'm like, oh, this could be bad. Do not view it as a win for us. Users' confidence is severely shaken, 100% right. And regulators will scrutinize exchanges even more, 100% correct. License around the globe will be harder to get. And people now think we are the biggest and will attack us more. But that's okay. We are used to being open and leaning into headwinds. In fact, we embrace scrutiny. We must significantly increase our transparency. Proof of reserves, guys, this is critical. We just talked about this. We're going to talk about it more. Proof of reserves, insurance funds, etc. A lot more to come in this area. I love to hear it. We have a lot of tough work ahead of us, not to mention price swinging wildly. Well, their price always tends to swing on the upside. It's kind of annoying. Because you can't even catch that baby sometimes. 5, speaking of prices, as I have said many times over the years, ignore the prices. So right. He's a great, smart to say. Let's keep our heads down and focus on building products people use. Yes. It has always worked over the years. Yes, it has. And today is obviously no exception. Correct. Lastly, I want to say I am really proud of each and every one of you for all your hard work as a team. Thank you. We still have many challenges ahead of us. Let's continue to push ahead and help increase the freedom of money all around the world steadily and consistently. CZ from Binance. Guys, hey, Richard, send your last letter to the team out.
There's another tweet that I'd like to pull up. Go ahead and say hi to the chat here, but there's
NW_Hex. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Life is good, boys. That's the big picture. Oh, life is absolutely good, and you are 100% correct about that.
So
you pull up whatever tweet you want, and I'm going to start browsing without pulling it up quite yet on Deck Screener because I know there's a couple of things people are going to want to check out. And, I had a feeling about Zen. I haven't looked at it today, but I had a little feeling about Zen that it would might be able to act counter intuitively to the market just because the liquidity is so low still. So I was kind of buying that at the lows, and it did kind of like a nice little like 70% move. So, I want to look at some stuff. I'm not going to do any price targets or anything or talk really much about my bags. I'm just going to talk about what I'm seeing because I see some good stuff. Like I still see opportunity.
Two big lessons. Never use a token you created as collateral.
Dude, this guy is a G, bro. He's so right.
And then number 2, that's exactly what FTX did and Almeida. Don't borrow if you run a crypto business because the volatility is stupid. I've talked about using leverage from fiat because if you understand in this space, not a good idea. Just I wanted to touch on that because that's so important. Leverage can cut you faster than you realize.
They don't even know it either because they never did legacy. I'm not saying they didn't have money in legacy.
Yes.
I'm saying these guys got rich on crypto. You know what that means, Sam. Because I know what it means now. I didn't really know what it meant before I understood leverage and legacy, or at least understood why and when people kind of used it. That's really what you get to the ethos of like, whoa. Like these guys literally, it's almost a definition rather than like leverage is almost a definition because it exists rather than like something people do. Because they all are at a certain point, every institution in a certain position, like by competition standards, must provide leverage to be in the top 5, probably. Like if I'm thinking of any subgroup of any kind of competition, like you have to do the roids if you're the number 1 UFC. I'm sorry. Whoops.
But I don't know if that's going to hold up in crypto. Do you think it's going to hold up in crypto?
I don't think it will either. I think that there's guys out there doing great work and they're going to push through it. And I think Zen Crypto, Hex, and a lot of these decentralized things that are trying to change the game. Hedron, there's some fair markets out there, guys, whether you like it or not. Zen WETH has $52,000 in liquidity in it. You think that's a lot of money? No, it's a future thing for me on some of these things. I'm not looking to swap it over tomorrow necessarily, but I'm looking to buy things that are oversold and have no liquidity. Sam, I can't say it enough.
Hey, you know what? Something that's potentially oversold with no liquidity that Jamba Beans is purchasing? FTT.
I think that's a good wait. I want you to highlight this real quick because he's on to something with this. Because I wouldn't trade this, but I watched Terry.
I wouldn't buy this. And I'm not like
no, I know. But CZ kind of saying that maybe he was kind of buff. Remember how it went down to $5 and he has like this buffer range? Maybe he's seeing how much it can recover. Let's say it gets back to $15. It happens all the time.
This is not.
It happens all, dude. Celsius went to 0. It's trading 400% the other day. Like it just happens. But everyone loses their money in the system first. So every human in the system goes to 0. And then like random dudes start trading it. That's what happens. That's all that happens. But I have a feeling they'll wait for that and liquidate it because they obviously want funds. Some of the other things were kind of just like, oh, damn, this went to 0. Appreciate you, GRC Salmon Bullish. Hey, thank you so much for the super chat, 555 euros. I really appreciate that. Hey, before I pull up this price chart, I do want to highlight Richard Heart real quick. Great job really exposing some of the feelings that he had about the market having leverage in it still ready for liquidation. He said there's too much leverage, but we didn't know what it meant. Like Sam might have had a better idea at the time when he was saying it, like than me. I knew what he meant, but I didn't know specifically what he meant. Now I see what he meant. He's like, dude, there's so much prop. He probably felt from being in the market so much. He's like, there's propped up exchanges still, guys. I use them. Trust. I look at them. Trust. Sam Brankman-Fried, like, what is he going to say? He's the worst dude ever. You can't call that. Like, you can't say he's going to go to 0. He could be the best. Like, but you can say like centralized exchanges always go to 0 when they drop 95%. Because they do, you know. Let's look at this little reversal real quick. Just a quick check in on Zen. We all saw this big run, right? Like we all kind of were a part of that, and seeing that 90% correction off of that is just the way it always. You just really are going to see that most of the time, especially with such a new asset. We got up here into that like 4 times the range it's at now, and I started feeling like, yeah, I don't think these guys will sell. I was like, I don't think these guys will sell right here. Really, I just don't think there's meat on the bone unless someone like poured liquidity in there like as a gift. But in the natural market, which is kind of tending to be because like there's no institutional investors here, guys. That's important to note. Hedron, same way. Hex, same way. That's why we like these things. Now, remember, it's different though, because the distribution. So remember, we had this big, long time. Now, the trading up here really was scrapped. Let's be honest. Nobody was, but right here, I'd say about is where the chart kind of like legitimizes. And so this is kind of what I look at. Like, I think of this as the chart because, you know, some charts get a little whacked depending on the distribution method in the early settings of it. But so we had the long downtrend, and then down here, when people start tweeting that it's going to go down forever, you know, K for K, all the guys, they start saying, and I feel it because I watch a lot of these guys, and they start saying it'll go down forever. Like, and I'm like, dude, there's no liquidity. That's literally a dumb statement. Like, there's nothing there to sell. So I don't understand why you're saying people would continue to sell it. That's when I buy, whether it's $100 or whatever it was at the time. I was like, oh shit, you know, that's crazy. But then I watched the 90% dip. Still not enough money for me to really want to be selling anything, right? But then you see a nice little reversal, and that piques my interest. That's all I'm going to say on that. That it piques my interest. I'm not getting my computer out. I'm not running for the hills. I have so much.
But it's a healthy. If you see that before you see a full retracement, you're like, okay, cool. That's a good sign. Doesn't mean it won't go back to the retracement, but it's a good sign in the sense that like people are paying attention. Watch, Hedron did it, right? Hedron has this massive blow up, and then they come back down. But they're not. It's not back down to those levels with 7 zeros. It's not back down there yet.
I want people to understand how strong the Hedron chart is. And I want you to understand that there's a buy the news event coming up, and I don't care what you have to say about it. I just don't like that. It's not up for definition to me. Like, it's people buy this stuff when people start talking about it and it's doing something. They don't even know what it is most of the time. We happen in this chat to know what the HSI auctions are all about. It's about making Hedron's coins go away forever. And Polly did a crazy thing with the pools, and I don't really understand them, but the amount of Hedron that was pooled, I just don't understand Polly because I never got involved. I'm sorry about that, by the way. I really kind of effed the bag on that. Like, I should have focused on that more, and I still can, I guess. So, but I also asked Dave Ketcher to come on the show like 3 or 4 times, and he never came on, so I was kind of like forgot about it. That's just on me more than
it's also something that neither we don't plan on participating in it. Not that it can't like help a lot of people make money and make the market more efficient. Like, I'm all for making the HSIs more efficient so that you guys, whoever's participating, can help drag up my bags and they get what they want. It's HEX, right? Like, I'll just sit on the Hedron. That's perfectly fine with me.
Dude, we're just in this bear market right now looking at like, come on, we're going to take all of this out of here, okay? Just for the sake of an argument. I mean, just for the sake of like a clean looking chart. So we'll start right there because that's where real trading volume comes in. And I mean, this is a disgustingly brutal bear market, and 25% of the HEX pool got dumped yesterday. The HEX USDC pool in one sell. You see it. I don't have to point to it. You see it. This is a brutal bear market. This is one of the most God mode charts I've ever seen in a bear market with a legitimate market. Sam, you have to understand the one cool part too that Richard kind of found out. Some of these guys that do ERC20s with a fair liquidity, they found out that these things perform really well under average, like buyers without the big VC chunks in there. That's like the global play, like if you're trying to like cheat it. But really, the truth is, there's like $2 million in liquidity right here. And this is a bear market, and we've seen a 15x from the bottom. That is insane. But it also is people are going to stay away from it because they see all this space, Sam. Some people are going to stay away. And I'm telling you what, I'm just going to say this. And I'm not saying I'm buying any more of this because, God, I got to stop buying Hedron. I have to. Like literally for my sake of my family's future, I must stop because I need to eat. So you see all this action, but just note, there is not. I know you're going to think there is because there's a million or so in there, but I'm telling you guys, once people get a taste of what they can taste, I sold 100 million Hedron a couple of different times, I think, like throughout the really pump, for like $700 or $800 a sell. Like that, once you get a taste of that, I ain't going back, baby. I'll go for more than that or anything more than that.
But this is going to present, I think, a massive opportunity because we can see this will also be very, very interesting test here. We have this slightly larger like macro environment with SBF tanking, Alameda tanking. And when you have uncertainty, what do people do? They sell risky assets and they try to put them into things that are less perceived risk, like something like a stable coin, right? A stable coin can be thought of as purchasing a put option, so to speak, where the cost of that is any upside, right? So people are going to be moving a lot of capital into stable coins. You can see a giant sell-off in BTC. You can see a giant sell-off in Ethereum. And I would bet we're going to also see we've already seen a sell-off in Hex. We've seen a sell-off in Hedron. And this boat is barely getting started, because as this continues to unravel with what's happening with Alameda and FTX, this is going to increase uncertainty. As uncertainty increases, risky assets fall, right? So there's going to be some very interesting buying opportunities over the next several weeks as we watch this play out. And then when you layer on top of this, we have the HSI auctions that are about to take place. Remember, fundamentally, nothing's changed in terms of what's happening with these HSI auctions. So literally, you can pick up double the amount of Hedron today than you could have, 3 weeks ago or something like that.
It could have been $400, but it was something like that. I remember being like, hey, because I was probably moving stuff around a little bit and I had some liquid. And I remember like 100 million, and it was probably right here. Like, I'm assuming it was right. I doubt I was messing. It's either right here or right here, probably. So, but it was something like that. And it could have even been higher. Who knows? See what it was. Like, I'm telling you, it was over $500. But who knows? Who cares? That doesn't even matter.
Right. What
matters is, and I don't even care about it. Like, I really want people to realize, like, I say this stuff because I think the numbers are fun to look at. I do. They kind of like make my brain feel good. But me and Sam are just like waiting for nuclear war. Like, that's all we're doing. We're buying the assets we like, of course, but we are getting ready for battle. You know what I mean? Like, right? Saying like, you're not everything you've purchased so far. That the dynamics can change just so dramatically, and you can have different LP positions, a different liquid bag, and different staking options. And then you're doing a drip. You're getting the drip out your drip, and then you pancake swap. Go over to Kick Swap, put 20 grand in there. You probably make more money you ever made in your life. So it's just like, Sam, it's overwhelming for me to even talk about. And to be honest, the Zen price is overwhelming for me to talk about too, because my God, it's just scary. But so, Sam, what do you see here compared to Hedron when you look? See, we see that 15x from the floor. But what do we see in Hex? It's been around for roughly 1,070 days, right? So what do we see in Hex? We were straight down. And then for the last 90 or whatever, 100 days, 120 days or something, Sam, I can't even remember.
What's the date on the left-hand side of the
this will be June right here. This will be July right at the top here.
Okay.
That little peak.
Of this year.
Yeah, so, and then August we were... But Sam, let's be honest. None of us. This has been sideways. This is called sideways.
Yes.
In crypto, this is sideways. Don't even look at this as a pump.
Right.
That is a normal day on the S&P 500.
So like, June, July, August, September, October. Right. We're into November. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if this.
When does the Hedron chart start, Sam? Do you know what month, by any chance?
I think it was February it came out.
All right, so look, let's look at that. Let's look at that. Oh, Sam, you need to post a chart from the date Hedron started, but you put the Hex chart right at that same exact date next to it, and show people the exact reverse correlated gains that you would have gotten if you put all your money into one rather than the other. Because they always point out permanent loss on the other side, but they never do it for Hex or whatever.
I'm also in the process of testing to see if you can, if impermanent loss is like real, so.
It's just a term people use for like ending up with a different asset. People don't even
understand. No, I know, but think about what that is, right? So impermanent loss is the reduction in the total amount of gains that you could have had because the coin count of the one that went up the most, you don't hold as much of, right? Because that's effectively what impermanent loss is. But what if you decided to provide liquidity. And as you earn hundreds of dollars per day with your liquidity, all your fees, every time you go to pull fees and you're like, okay, there's another $600 in fees. Oh, there's another $443. There's another $900 in fees. And you converted those fees to the asset that you believe is going to perform better in a pair of 1 to 2, then you're actually negating or reducing the risk of impermanent loss. And how long does that take until you're actually having permanent gains from this process? Meaning, I actually have a larger coin count than when I started. And
Right.
Have
For you to have an honest conversation about that with Sam, I think you won't be 65 years old till there's going to be a random dude who wants to have like, they're just going to say, oh, you're wrecked. You're just get wrecked. You're doing too much. Like, that's all they're like, unless someone's doing something very similar, understands very intimately. But like what you just said, I totally understand. It makes a lot of sense. It makes too much sense, frankly. It's not crypto appropriate because it really, frankly, makes too much sense.
I'm in the process of testing that right now.
Yeah. Does that make sense what I'm saying too, though? Like I understand what you're saying, but you're like, no one's going to even remotely take care of themselves in that way.
You're right.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's so true, but it's like, I wish that I knew what people thought about all these things. Exactly. Sam, I got the other chart lined up and watch me switch over. So we're on the same date on both. So we're right now, guys, we are about to compare. If you would have bought, all right, Hex on this day right here, you see it. It's roughly, let me scooch it up a little bit.
Hold on a second.
It's roughly February right here. So we'll just start on February and the start of February. And then we'll go over here. And I'm going to line up February. And then I'm going to switch it right over. Oh, it started right on the March date. So it started right on the March date. So watch this, guys. If you bought on the first day of March, you have been so nuclear wrecked. So nuclear wrecked.
Okay, so I just copied that chart.
I have it up. I'm going to switch it over.
But I'll put them both into the same. I'll just put them in.
Just watch. And then we'll switch it over. And if you would have bought on the same exact day, right here, Sam, it was the same day. We said right on the top of March, right?
Yeah. You
would have obviously had that crazy pump, but you would be up roughly, Sam, 5x minimum if you bought in right here. And all this is like 7, 10x range, 15x range, but it's a 15x from the bottom. So Sam, you're talking about 5x minimum if you held, and opportunities 10, 15x along the way for like 6 months straight. And we talked about it and people blocked me, Sam.
Yes.
And they had more than me. And they had more than me. They had more than me and they blocked me for talking about it. Imagine the ignorance.
Check it out though. So what I can highlight this or whatever, but this is the Hex chart, right?
Perfect.
And this is the Hedron chart here. And you can see what GRC was saying, right? If you decided to get in right here, I don't have the prices here, but like clearly this is
roughly 15 cents, Sam.
Oh, 15 cents.
No, I looked at it. It was roughly like 15 cents was kind of like that top out, right? Like there.
So what, 75% drop from then? And then Hedron.
Well, now we're 3 cents. So from 3 cents, you need a double, then another double. So like 250% from 3 cents is back to where that is. So you're down like, you're minus like 250% on that bag. 250%.
No. You're minus like 80% of your bag.
Oh yeah, the whole bag. I just meant like USD value, like. Okay. But I don't know. Sorry, I always get confused about the way I think about it and the way I should say it because I probably am doing it wrong in my head. But
well, here's good. You have a $100,000 and now you have $20 or $20,000, right? You had $100,000, now you have $20,000 versus say for Hedron you have $100,000 and now you have what you think of what's I don't even know the X's in Hedron. Do you know?
If from the bottom, I know the bottom
from the beginning,
like a 4 or 5 from to right now.
Okay, so you go from Hex
like a little over 5.
So you go from Hex having 100K,
80% thing.
Yep, down right to 20K, right? So massive drop versus over here. If you hypothetically went into Hedron with 100K, right?
So you would be at 500K right now.
Yeah, correct.
You'd be right about 500K right now. And that adds up to, that looks about right if I'm looking at my portfolio too.
That's
Because
correct.
I remember spending roughly like $100 or something. And then I don't know exactly how much I bought at the time, but I remember seeing that $136 was $1 billion. That's what I remember kind of being like, oh, because I remember I told everyone, I think $1 billion's a cool bag. But again, we don't suggest anything here. You really cannot suggest things on YouTube as far as buying anything. And I really just don't, because the down or volatility I can handle. If I told everyone, if Zen goes down fucking 99%, I'll be pissed. If Hedron goes down 99%, I will be pissed. But I only buy the things that I really think have a chance to do some serious X's. Otherwise, I'm staying in USDC right now. I'm not buying some shit and praying for the bull market. The bull-owning.
This is a 25x difference. So if you take this number and you divide this into it, it's a 25x difference. So that means you perform 25x better over the last 8-9 months of a bear market. Wow. Right? That's pretty substantial. From 100 grand to 20,000 versus 100 grand to 500,000. That's pretty substantial. That is quite.
I'm tweeting right now. If you bought Hedron at launch, you could buy 25 times more hex. 25 times more hex.
You're tweeting this out. I'm gonna say hi to Jamba right here.
You have right now. I like Hedron.
Yeah, I'm very bullish on Hedron.
I'm still. I want you to get an ETH take for me too, and I actually have a. How much time you got?
I have to get off here at 12:30.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna go into it, but I am gonna go on again, guys. I'm jacked up, and the viewership has been crazy lately. As far as when I'm locked in, there's like 50, 60 getting ready to roll, and I like that. So when that's happening, I'm going to stream more, and if you guys are interacting with the tweets and really getting on the CITM channel, like I am gonna be more active. Because I do actually have to do stuff too, believe it or not. I do. There's other life opportunities and things that I think about, and most of my life is this, though, to be quite frank. So just remember, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Sam, my take on Ethereum, I don't want any price predictions. I don't think you guys should buy anything unless you're like really smart about it. But I think Ethereum is setting itself apart to be the only thing in DeFi. Binance too. Well, I kind of EVM is kind of what I mean, Sam. Like Ethereum compatible stuff, but like Ethereum kind of made that occur. So I think Binance is clearly there, but I want to like put it in a group because it's EVM, right? So it's kind of like that they do work together to a degree, right? So PulseChain is also EVM, guys. This is important, and I'm giving Richard a little bit of props today because I've been thinking about some stuff, and he really did say, like, I want this to be EVM compatible. I don't think there's anything else that's going to move forward. Like, I just think Ethereum's too strong. And I think he might be right. And I think this was before the merge could have been really thought about. But, like, some smart guys could think about the deflationary aspect of it. If you look at the numbers, Sam, and I'm going to do this later. I'm going to look at the Ethereum deflation numbers. They're crazy. They're wild. There's no energy consumption anymore. Zeroed out completely. Triple halvening. Do we need to wait for the next Bitcoin halvening to get a pump in crypto? I'm not sure that's true. The
other interesting thing about Hedron is that to get up to a point where there's an ARB, right, which is the highest point that you could think of like Hedron getting to, that was like at almost double the price of where it is now. So when you think about like where it is right now versus like the potential of where it can go, actually that expands. It actually gets wider throughout this time period, especially because there's a boatload of this stuff going to be burnt. There's a boatload that's locked up. I'm curious to see how this next 60, 90 days plays out with this. And then also with what's going on with SBF, with what's going on with the hedge fund. Is this all going to crash and burn? I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Sam, before I publish this tweet, I want to say if you bought the bottom as well, you could have X amount more. So can you help me with the calculations if you bought the bottom? I can give you the numbers.
For for which one?
For Hedron. So like I said, if you bought Hedron at launch, you could have 25 times more hex than you have right now. I don't know if that number is true all the way too. I got to make sure before I post.
Oh, I don't know why we don't know the exact numbers on it.
Close. I might put 20. I know it's right around there.
1, 2, 3. It was like around 6 zeros and 6 zeros.
I'll do the math. I'll do the math before I publish that tweet. That tweet could get explosive, and I might have to tag Synergy.
Yeah, that's perfect, bro. Then you'd be like, "Hey, I fucked up," but you get more attention. That's fine.
Yeah, true. But if you bought the bottom, I should just say 3,000x. Feel like you can be rich forever. No, but if you bought Hedron at launch, you could buy 20x more hex than you have right now. Damn, and people got it for free. That is an interesting little tidbit, isn't it?
Yes.
And then people were fudding me about their bags. I'm like, you got more than me, cat. Like go to Hedron.pro. You got more than me, bro. Literally, it's sitting in there. You got it. It already was minted before you ever did anything. And you're gonna talk shit about it. You remember, like, I'm not gonna name drop. All right. Dang it, I cursed. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Crypto in the Morning live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'll be back live probably in 36 minutes. I'm going to try to put a little something together, get some reviews. I want to see if everything's going to nuke to zero. I want to see if a couple $100 USD buys on something could be a good call today, but I ain't pressed on it. So, and there's volatility, downside risk potential with Ethereum too. So be careful, everyone. It could go down to 500. I wouldn't be super surprised. It might be very quick, but it might be a day. It might be, but some of these big bag holders, they have bags, guys, and they're crazy with it. Like I'm telling you. So make sure you go to my Twitter. My pinned tweet is going to be the giveaway. If you retweet that, you will have a shot at some cash, or actually, never mind. You get the giveaway, and then retweet. Everyone who retweets that tweet, I will also be following. So if you want to retweet that tweet, you get a follow by me. Everyone have an amazing day. DeFi proof, the absolute goat. Peace.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a state. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. GymRatCrypto sent me to show you the way.